In this video, we'll be covering the scanner feeding system in IMACS. You'll use your standard IMACS credentials to log in. The scanner feeding system is a way to verify and track all the feedings through an individual's incarceration. In order to track feedings, first a meal must be generated. This will be done by the operations officer after the kitchen officer announces first food cart off the unit. The operations officer will click Entry from the File menu and then select Inmate Meals Generation. On the Meals Generation window, they'll select the current date and which meal is ready to be served. Now we'll transition over to the officer providing the meal. These officers should go to Entry on the File menu and then select Inmate Meals Maintenance. Here, you'll select the meal date, the meal session that was just generated. At this point, by default, we're given a list of everybody who's ready to receive a meal. For specialty areas, such as the courthouse, you may not want to filter the location down any further. At this point, you can begin scanning IDs. Once you scan the ID, the status of the individual who was scanned will change from pending to served. And if they refuse a meal, you can change it manually from the drop-down list to not delivered. At the point you change it to not delivered, you'll be required to enter a reason why, and that reason why will show below their name. I'll show you this in a moment. For officers serving meals in a pod, it may be easier to filter down the location so you can see everybody who's specifically in the pod. You select DLM, for example, and then let's select J5, and now I know who's in J5 there with me. I can begin scanning IDs, and it will change their status to delivered, and then if they refuse a meal, you can change it to not delivered. If you try to complete a meal for someone in pending status, you will get this error message that states that all meals must be either delivered or not delivered. Now let's take a look at some case scenarios. I'm going to scan an ID, and the system marks the meal as delivered. Let's say this person pops up in line again later on. Now the meals maintenance window stays visible on the screen with a red border and a message that says that the meal has already been delivered. There are options at the bottom of the window to cancel, or you can override this. If a meal is refused, the quickest way to find the person in the list is still by scanning their ID. This will mark the status as having been delivered. However, you'll change the drop-down to not delivered, and at this point you'll be required to make a note. To make a note, click the Maintain Meal Detail button to the right of the drop-down. In the Notes section, annotate a reason why. The notes that you input will be here below the inmate's name. This concludes the scanner feeding training. If you have questions, please contact your immediate supervisor. Supervisors, if you need technical assistance, please contact the Sheriff's IT Department Help Desk at help@tcso.org.